there is something I want to talk about first before I jump into anything else, before I play any games or whatever. But if I switch over to this scene, the video in question is famous groomer Yandere Dev addressing the allegations. I assume this is the allegations that came out about him last year, and he's actually made a video addressing them. At the moment, it's only got a few thousand views. But I want to see what he has to say for himself. Brief backstory about this guy. Most recently, his Snapchat messages were leaked with a minor, and they were not good. And he just ghosted the internet for a long time. Apparently, he's come back to address them. He's still calling them allegations, even though we'll see what he says in the video. I'll reserve judgment for then. But I want to see what he has to say for himself. Bearing in mind, this isn't the first time he was even accused of this sort of thing either. So, it'll be interesting to see if he addresses any of his previous controversies, because he's had a long series of them. But this is the first one where he was caught in the act with voice recordings and such. I assume he's I don't know, is he gonna take accountability? Is he gonna blame mental health? I think he's gonna do that. That's what every YouTuber does. I'll be as fair as I can to him, but even like disregarding that, I dislike him for many other reasons, which I will probably get into in this video once I've had a look at what he has to say for himself. So let's see what he does say.
Hello, I'm Yandere Dev, the developer of Yandere Simulator. Last
oh no, welcome on in.
A serious allegation was made about me that I would like to
Congrats on having the first medal.
The accusation is that I attempted to groom an underage fan of my game. I will take accountability and admit that I did discuss inappropriate topics with a fan. However,
Okay, so first things first, this man is an adult. Straight up, he said, I did discuss inappropriate topics with an underage fan. That is 20 seconds in. Immediately, we have a red flag. Any adult would know is definitely a big no-no that you should never do. Kona, who is this? This is a man named Yandere Dev, who is known for making a game called Yandere Simulator. And he's also very infamous for numerous grooming allegations, the biggest of which came out last year, where his Snapchat messages and voice recordings of him being highly inappropriate with a underage girl, discussing very spicy topics such as OnlyFans and stuff. It's been I think it's been almost a year, I think, since the allegations came out. He ghosted the internet, and this is him now addressing what he's calling them allegations. I want to see what he has to say for himself.
Accusation that I deliberately attempted to groom this fan is false. In this video, I would like to apologize for what I feel I should apologize for. But I would also like to give you...
Okay, so he's being very specific about what he wants to apologize for. I assume there are certain things that he's going to say that, you know, he was not accountable for and isn't going to address. It's going to be interesting, because I think this is just him straight up saying, I'm going to admit certain things I don't want to omit, as in, like, leave out certain things I don't want to address. Who knows? We're less than 24 hours into the new year, and we've already got a YouTuber apology video. This is a great start, right? So this is going to be the meter stick that we measure every YouTube apology video this year for. So I think maybe that's why he didn't want to be compared to Colin Ballinger's ukulele, because no one can follow that performance, right? So it's better to start off in the new year where everything's fresh and you don't have to worry about any other crazy fucking apology videos.
The full story so that you know what is true and what isn't true. Let's start at the beginning. Last year, a fan of my game contacted me and wanted to chat. Usually, when a fan tries to talk with me, I just tell them that I'm too busy. But this person seemed really nice and friendly and funny, so I decided, you know what, sure, let's talk. She let me know right off the bat that she was 16, but I didn't see...
And that's when you should block someone and not communicate with them when you're an adult. I do not want to have any conversation with someone who's not old enough to vote, because I don't care for what they have to say, because it's not going to matter. I don't want to know what homework they're doing or who likes who in which class, right? At that point, like, they've not fully developed. They don't have the ability to think for themselves and take empathy as an adult would do. And also, they aren't going to talk about anything that's going to interest me either. Outside of something very shallow, like, hey, you like video games? I like video games. Cool. We're a whole generation and maybe 2 generations apart. We probably don't have the same video games. But yeah, don't talk to underage people, please. If that's one thing you learn from my content, just don't talk to them. Block them immediately. Cross the road to avoid them.
When I was 16, I had online friends that were in their 20s and 30s, so
that does not make it okay. Okay? saying you had older friends when you were underage is more like, hey, maybe you should look back on these friendships and really judge why these adults wanted to hang out with an underage person at the time, right? Not saying, oh, it happened to me, so it's okay, right? You can't use the excuse that he turned out fine, because he clearly didn't.
It just didn't feel weird to me. In the beginning, our conversations were normal, but she had a kind of adult sense of humor, and every now
Again, having an adult sense of humor does not make it okay either.
and then she would bring up a topic or ask a question that wasn't really appropriate. When this would happen, I wasn't entirely comfortable with it, but I rationalized to myself that it was no big deal and just kept talking with her. Eventually, I must have said something that sounded like a red flag to her, because at some point she started to record our conversations just in case I turned out to be some kind of predator. She showed our conversations to a YouTuber, and the YouTuber decided, yep, this guy seems like a groomer.
So what most people would say when an older dude is talking to someone underage about things that's, in his own words, adult sense of humor, right?
We need to expose him. From what I've been hearing, it kind of sounds like the YouTuber started coaching the girl on how to manipulate me into saying things that would make me look bad, which wasn't what the girl wanted. But you don't have to just take my word for it. The girl has written a statement about the entire situation, giving her...
Right. This is on Twitter. And I've had a look at some of the tweets. Let me quickly go and look at it. You got the link of it here. So if I go to this, posted it on Twitter under username Yandere Dev's victim, whatever. If you want to read it, it's a long read. Essentially trying to defend him a little bit. But if you want to read this, you can. It's a long read. But the thing I want to talk about is some of the replies to this, which is slightly easy to digest. So if you look at this one, until I made things spicy at this point, it was Dev's responsibility to stop talking to the child fan or to set clear boundary with her that isn't okay, that, you know, this isn't okay. And he didn't. He's a groomer. And the person even said, I do agree. But then they go on to defend him even more. That should have been where the conversation ended about this whole thing. The fact that he and this child were talking about spicy things, as they say, is essentially the definition of grooming, right? And the person even agrees, but then they later go on to, you know, just refer to it as a close relationship or friendship and sort of excusing it. I mean, this dude is, which I want to... So it's a 16-year-old talking with a 35-year-old. Okay. Yeah, he's more than twice her age. That's a big no-no. I believe the rule is like half your age plus 7, right? So 35 divided by 2 plus 7 equals 24 and a half. So we should not be talking about spicy things with anyone who isn't over the age of 24 and a half, I guess. But yeah, again, yeah, this is another one, the only victim. This isn't the first time he's been called out for this sort of thing. And this person is trying to argue the fact that they're the only person who's ever been a victim of Yandere Dev. And I'll probably go into that towards the end of the video. So I want to watch his whole apology first before I decide. But yeah, let's quickly check their profile. What other tweets have they done? That phobia. I imagine this is the first time he's put out a video in like over a year as well. And I guess he has to put on weight since his last video or whatever. And I think a lot of people are probably fat shaming him for it. I'm not going to do that. That's low hanging fruit. That's cheap. And, you know, you shouldn't really make someone feel bad about their bodies when they can't really change it or anything like that, right? Like people gain and lose weight all the time. I gain weight, I lose weight. I'm not going to judge someone else for doing that as well. So I'm not going to bother commenting on that or his nose or whatever. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to the video.
her side of the story. I've put a link to it in the description below.
Yeah, they're trying to say that the other YouTuber that pushed her to post the conversations of Yandere Dev, bringing up spicy topics as they keep referring to it. Apparently, yeah, they were coached, or in a sense, they're using the word coach as a synonym for coerce. So you're trying to say they were coerced into recording and posting about Yandere Dev to make him seem like he's a. So they even used Ali trick people into believing he was a bad person to save a dying YouTube channel. Okay.
I won't tell you what to think about it. You're welcome to read it for yourself and draw your own conclusions. So, with the YouTuber apparently instructing the girl on how to steer our conversations in an inappropriate direction, our discussions got pretty weird. I wasn't comfortable with it and I tried to express that, but like an idiot, I just went along with it anyway. Because I had gotten into the habit of being really candid around this girl and just casually responding to whatever she said, it was very easy for her to get recordings of me answering questions I shouldn't have answered and discussing topics I should not have discussed. And the YouTuber then used those recordings to make a 40-minute long video accusing me of being a groomer. Out of respect for all of the people in the world who have actually been groomed, we should use the word grooming correctly.
I mean, it was used correctly in that situation. We even went to the Twitter thread where someone specified the fact that when an adult talks to a child and who's under the age of consent about spicy things, that is essentially a form of grooming, right? And the victim even replied to that saying they agree, but apparently it still refers to it as a close friendship and relationship, which is all called weird, but okay.
Is when an adult tries to establish a relationship with a child with the intention of exploiting or abusing the child.
Okay, so he's trying to specify that because he didn't physically like assault or abuse or whatever, it's not grooming. But I don't think that's gonna fly. If this was a court case, right? If this was in court, and his defense was, yeah, but I didn't touch her. That's not gonna, hold any water because there have been plenty of times where that's been the case. But like I'll give you a personal example. Actually, there's a guy in the UK cosplay community. I'll say one guy. This applies to actually several guys, but okay. Who sent a lot of messages to an underage child, essentially doing exactly what this is, grooming them. He was eventually, obviously, the child told the parent, went to court, pulled this exact same excuse, and he got a year sentence in prison. He only served 6 months of it and got out on good behavior, mind you. But yeah, I know this excuse won't work because it didn't work for that guy, so I don't think it'll work for him either.
That doesn't describe what I did.
Like in his case, I guess. Well, not his case. The other guy I'm talking to, referring to. In his case, I guess he was caught before he got to do anything. But he's trying to say, "Oh, I never intended to do anything with this child." But fucking no court's gonna believe that, right?
I didn't develop a friendship with the girl for that reason. That wasn't my intention. I did not attempt to establish a romantic or sexual relationship with the girl. But after having my behavior explained to me as commonly associated with romance, I can understand how it was interpreted that way.
Okay, so he's trying to turn it around saying it's not his fault because he didn't understand it. And it was only until after it's explained to him that what he was saying was, what he's trying to say is misconstrued, but no, it's not. It's not misconstrued. It was okay. Thin ice. I don't buy it, but okay.
I feel like it's worth mentioning that
He's essentially trying to skirt around the blame for that one by saying, "Hey, it's not my fault. I didn't understand what I was saying." I mean, I think this guy definitely did understand what he was saying. But only now is he trying to use the excuse, "Oh, I didn't understand what I was saying was bad," as a way to try and not hold himself fully accountable. But we'll see how much he goes. We're only like 3 minutes into this. We'll see how far he goes, or how much better or worse it gets.
Sound bad when they're out of context. For example, there was one time when the girl jokingly said, "You should make an OnlyFans," and I said, "No, that's dumb. No one would ever want to see that." And she said something like, "Come on, it's so easy to make money on OnlyFans." And when I heard that, I thought, whoa, that's a little concerning. Don't tell me that social media is brainwashing this generation to think that they should just go directly into porn the second they turn 18 because it's the best way to get rich quick. That's a little concerning.
Now, I agree with him on one thing. No one would want to see his OnlyFans. He would never make money that way. So that's one point with him I do agree with. So yeah, that's one point I'll give him. No one want to see his OnlyFans. No one pay for that content. It was a dumb idea. Of course, it's the kind of thing a child would come up with because they don't know any better.
I wanted to know if she was joking or if she was being serious. So I asked her, "Are you planning to start an OnlyFans?" And of course, the YouTuber used the recording of me saying, "Are you planning to start an OnlyFans?" to frame me as someone who initiates horrifically inappropriate discussions with children.
Guess what? That was a horrifically inappropriate thing to say to a child. Someone he knew was 16 years old. It doesn't matter if he was like a joking response to it. That is something you. This is why you do not engage in conversation with people who are too young to consent or vote or drive or do drugs or. Actually, you know what? I'll redact that last one. You don't need to be old enough to do drugs. Drug dealers don't check for ID. So. Okay.
Which is just completely dishonest. There's a part of me that wants to go point by point down the list of every single questionable or suspicious thing I said and provide context for absolutely everything, but that's not really the main issue here. For one thing, a lot of the stuff I said is just weird no matter what the context is. I'll just admit it. But more importantly, I never should have let conversations like that happen in the first place.
Boom, there you go. That's what you should have done. 5 minutes into the video, he addresses the thing that he should have done from the very start. I wonder where he's going to go from here. Okay, this has been a roller coaster so far. But yeah, exactly. If there's one thing you learn from this video specifically, it's, you know what, just don't engage in conversation with minors in the first place, right? Or let alone let it get this far. It's only we're only 1/3 in, yeah.
A normal, mentally healthy adult would have just blocked.
Okay, I said at the start he was going to bring up mental health as an excuse for this. It looks like he's doing that. He's bringing up his mental health. I imagine he's going to say things like he was sad and depressed at the time or whatever. It's what every YouTuber does. I want to see how far he would take it into blaming his behavior on that sort of thing. Because every YouTuber does it. I think there's no point making a bingo card because that's going to be like the free space, isn't it? Everyone's going to fucking tick that one off. It'll be too easy.
Blocked the girl immediately after the very first time she said something inappropriate. But I didn't. And having to face that fact was a wake-up call that made me realize I had deteriorated mentally. So, after this whole controversy happened, I decided to take some time to just reflect and try to figure out how I had turned into the type of person who would let something like this happen. After talking it over with a lot of different people, I think I've developed an understanding of exactly how things got to this point, and I think I have the vocabulary to explain it now, too. Over the past 10 years, I neglected absolutely every aspect.
He's blaming the development. Okay, so the last 10 years, he was developing a game called Yandere Simulator for 10 years. Game looks dog shit. There's a lot of issues with the game, in fact, actually. That I don't know if he's going to address, so I might give him the chance to explain it, but I might just explain it a bit preemptively so everyone gets context behind it. You're not allowed to stream the game on Twitch for a number of reasons. Purely because, first of all, it has you murdering high school students, which is against TOS because they're children. You can't have child murder in a video game, but also a number of questionable design choices. So the main currency in the game that you can get is by taking panty shots of girls in the school and selling them to the local pervert called Info, who gives you information and money. So, like, that is definitely a big red flag. And, like, he's been defending that choice in his game for fuck knows how long. He addressed it. So right now he's currently trying, I imagine, blame his mental health and also try and shift some blame of his behavior to the game he is allegedly working on, but not really, because he's barely done anything on it.
Project. I almost never left my house for any reason. I had no social life whatsoever, and I had no one that I could call a true friend. A lot of people warned me that they could see my mental health deteriorating and that I was...
I just want to say, right, like male mental health, like the main issue for male mental health problems is just the male loneliness issue, right? Like this. So there's a lot of like dudes who are just very lonely and have like very, very poor ways of articulating that, expressing themselves, and like the healthy way of doing that is to express your emotions and like seek out connections with your peers, feel free to speak about that sort of thing with people, you know, not make it an awkward thing to talk about your feelings. But at the same time, please don't talk to children about sex. That's not a healthy way to express that. Please do not hit up your local 16-year-olds. Yeah, don't reach out to a 16-year-old, okay? I know there's stigma behind men speaking about their feelings and their mental health, and it makes it difficult for people to speak with people like their peers or their friends, family, colleagues, whatever. But does that mean it's okay to speak to a teenager about it? In fact, please don't ever do that.
Exhibiting a lot of self-destructive behavior, and I just ignored all of them. I was lonely and depressed and miserable and getting worse every year and doing nothing to make any of it better and ignoring all of the warning signs that were being given to me.
Now, personally, I think the biggest warning sign was the fact that he was developing a video game where you earn currency by taking pictures of children's underwear and selling them to the pervert, which really should have been the biggest red flag. I think he should address that at some point as well. But no, I guess he's saying that, you know, all that led to him seeking out a teenager to speak to about OnlyFans and sex.
When you neglect your psychological and social needs that badly for that long, you eventually...
I wonder how long of this video, how much of this video is going to be about mental health. It's been about a minute and a half so far.
Positive affirmation that you become willing to have inappropriate interactions you shouldn't be having, as long as it's fulfilling the social needs that have gone completely unmet for years. Acknowledging all of this was step one. Step two was determining what I would have to change about my life in order to repair the damage that I had done to my psyche over the past 10 years. So, I decided to just step back from game development for 3 months to just work on myself and try to...
This game is never coming out, is it? He's been working on it for 10 years, barely fucking in an alpha stage right now. I mean, and it looks like a game that should have come out way back in like 2013 when he started it. So,
a more healthy lifestyle.
Yandere fans, you're not getting your game in 2024, I'm sorry.
I started leaving my house and going outside and interacting with other human beings. I experimented with hobbies that don't involve the use of a computer screen. I found a much better work-life balance. And most importantly of all, I made friends. I developed a
I hope they were adult friends. Okay, if there's one thing he learned from this is to find friends his own age.
Social life. I made meaningful connections with people my age. That made a bigger difference than anything else.
What you should have done from the start.
I no longer feel so desperate for social interaction that I'd be willing to have inappropriate conversations just to fill some gap in my life. I feel like...
Okay, it's good that he learned that. It doesn't change the fact that he still did that, right? It's good that he learned that he should hang out with people his own age. Still doesn't change the fact that he did inappropriately have conversations with someone that he shouldn't have had. Like, it's not going to excuse it. Okay?
Removed the weaknesses and vulnerabilities that enabled this entire situation to happen in the first place. It's worth mentioning that sometime after this entire controversy started, 2 images started to circulate. These images are fake Discord screenshots depicting interactions between me...
Let me have a quick read of these.
...and children that have never actually happened. These images were either created in Photoshop...
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say maybe they are, because, like, there have been fake screenshots of people, but, like, I've got enough things that I don't like him for. So I'm willing to ignore this one thing.
When you're trying to make a comical image.
So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt on this one.
These are not real.
I'm just taking his word for it.
Another piece of information I would like to address would be the claim that I was grooming this girl ever since she was 9 years old. That's not true. Apparently, she sent me an email 7 years ago. I'm assuming it was just typical fan mail. I always respond to every fan who contacts me, so I must have replied and said something like, "Hey, thanks for your kind words. Glad you liked the game." But
immediately, someone who's been a fan of you since they were 9 years old, reaching out to you, even if you forgot about that sort of thing, like, genuinely, that's a fucking power dynamic that can be very easily exploited for that sort of, like, obviously for grooming, which essentially what he did. And, like, his excuse was that he didn't understand it at the time, that it was inappropriate, but he understands it now. I don't think that excuse is going to be good enough. I don't think it's not good enough for me. I wouldn't accept that as an answer, but it seems to be the one he's going with.
But just the fact that she had contacted me when she was 9, and then later she contacted me again last year, somehow magically transformed into a narrative that I had been grooming her for 7 years straight. No, that's not what happened. That's just something that people made up. But even though I didn't harm a child, even though I didn't traumatize or victimize anyone, I do feel that I've made mistakes that I need to apologize for. I allowed myself to deteriorate into a person who is making horrible...
Okay, he's not apologizing for the right thing. He's apologizing for, I let my mental health get the better of me. No, that's not what he should have been apologizing for, because even though he didn't get the end result where, you know, someone was harmed or traumatized or whatever, he did all the steps leading up to that, and that's what he should be apologizing for. Like, that's the bad thing he did. Like, just because he didn't get any child coochie at the end of it, doesn't suddenly make everything he did leading up to that suddenly, like, you know, do you know what, this guy's being guys? No, fuck that.
Decisions on a regular basis that not only harmed me, but also the people around me. By making some incredibly stupid and careless remarks during conversations I should not have been having, I created...
Alright, so he's trying to basically say that he made those remarks because he was careless.
I made myself into a figure who is so controversial that people are afraid to be associated with me or have any kind of connection to my game. As a result,
that's not the only reason, dude, but okay.
Contributing to the project had to quit. YouTubers who enjoyed playing the game had to stop. Companies had to sever all ties with me. And a lot of fans were deeply hurt and upset. I'm sorry for having stupid, inappropriate conversations I never should have had. I'm sorry for neglecting myself until I created problems for everyone around me. I'm sorry to all of the people who I ignored when they warned me countless times that my behavior was becoming more and more self-destructive. And I'm also sorry for one other thing. After this whole controversy started, people started targeting anyone associated with me or my project for harassment. People even targeted the girl that I spoke to, spreading misinformation about her and spamming her with horrible images. It's one thing to screw up your own life, but it's another thing entirely...
Yeah, don't do that. Don't harass people on the internet like that.
That you bring hate and abuse and harassment into the lives of others just for being associated with you. I am...
Like, if you're going to hate anyone, hate the man himself.
I just hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me.
I'll pass, I think. I've got enough reasons to not like him.
Now that
on top of all this,
what I did wrong and established that I'm not a...
Say hard pass.
Where do we go from here? Well, I don't think that 3 months of self-care are enough to magically fix every flaw I've ever had. I'm sure I still have plenty of room for self-improvement, but I'm doing a lot better mentally now than I was before, and I think I'm ready to get back to work. I'm going to continue releasing updates for the game, and I'm going
to... does this mean we'll get Yandere Dev to be a potential Game of the Year candidate for 2024?
I understand
at the Game Awards.
There's going to be less people contributing to the game, less people playing the game, and less people supporting the game, but...
I wonder what it'd win. Most delayed game? Most half-assed game?
No matter what kind of numbers I have...
Most controversial game, maybe.
Views or downloads or income or anything else, I'm still going to keep working on the game. It's too important to me for me to ever give up on it. There's a lot I would like to say about the current state of Yandere Simulator and the future of the project, but...
I imagine it'll be another 10 years before there's even a working demo.
I'm just going to write all of that in a blog post and link to it in the description down below. Just in case it wasn't already clear, I just want to firmly state that I don't blame the girl for anything that happened. And I don't want anyone to harass her or make fun of her in the comments.
Okay, so he didn't do the victim blaming thing that a lot of YouTubers done, so he's managed to avoid that one at least.
Don't.
But he sort of leaned more towards blaming his mental health instead, which is the easy way out for a lot of this is what you see in pretty much every YouTube video apology.
Some of them I never addressed at all, and others I attempted to address, but I just mishandled it and botched it and made things even worse.
So a lot of the controversies that he's been involved with previously, a large portion of the controversy comes from the fact that he responded quite snarkily and mean to people who point out very valid criticisms. And I assume this is what he's referring to, because he ends up making the situation worse every single time he did that.
Eventually, I'd like to make a video, kind of like this one, where I actually address those past controversies properly. I can't guarantee when it will happen, but it is something that I do want to do in the future. With that said, there is one false accusation that I think is relevant enough to address now.
Okay, so only one that he's going to say is false. Okay.
I don't want this to turn into a long, rambling video, so I'll make this quick. There are a lot of people who are under the impression that I advocate for abolishing the age of consent and replacing it with a sex license. No, that is not true. 10 years ago, in 2014, I had a debate with someone about whether or not age should be the sole determining factor in deciding whether or not to judge someone as an adult. I argued that just because someone has blown out an arbitrary number of candles on their birthday cake, that doesn't necessarily guarantee that they are competent enough to make certain life-changing decisions. If you want to drive a car, you have to pass a driving exam and earn a driver's license. So I thought, what if it worked the same way with becoming an adult? What if there was some sort of exam or test that you had to pass in order to be recognized as an adult and authorized to make certain purchases and decisions? Well, if you think about it for like 2 seconds, you can immediately identify like a million problems with that concept.
Okay, at least he acknowledges the fact that what he said was really fucking stupid, because it is. But at the same time, he did essentially accidentally stumble into a topic that would definitely be an interesting talking point. The fact that, you know, people have developmental issues, neurological disorder and so on, that makes it so that they aren't fully in control of their actions or aware of what they're doing at all times. Things like dementia, Alzheimer's also can also affect that. And you know, there might be some point of discussion you can have around whether or not these people should be tried the same way as a regular person because they don't have full control of the facilities. And maybe we should look more into, you know, making the system work better for people like that who need support more than anything else. Because a lot of the time, like, it doesn't even get recognized when they get tried for things that they probably don't have any control over. But at the same time, I don't think that's the reason he was arguing it. He's probably just doing it to be contrarian, which is one of the reasons why, you know, don't be a fucking contrarian where you just disagree with everything. That's just really fucking stupid, and you end up saying really shitty, stupid things like this guy did. Because people who are contrarians don't think about what they're saying, right? They just want to disagree and have a hot take and essentially try and be controversial to get gasps from everyone. And you end up having to make out videos like this on the internet to apologize for those things like a decade later.
And that's because it's not an idea that I put any thought into. It's not some deeply held personal belief that I will die defending. It was just a random hypothetical thought experiment I came up with 10 years ago while I was being contrarian towards someone.
Exactly, yeah.
But sadly, that's just one of dozens of random offhand remarks I've made over the years that have been screenshotted and used to paint a completely inaccurate picture of who I am and what beliefs I hold. So I think that when I eventually make a video to address past controversies properly...
I don't care about the end of this video. I did line up the next video, which was the video that he was referring to that had the allegations posted. I'm going to skim through this one very quick because it's a 40-minute long video.
No, I don't go out. I just stay inside and work on the game.
You should turn your film.
Oh, you'll see how old I am.
Okay, look at you.
You're cute.
Yeah, exactly. You should. I don't know if you too.
I don't feel good about it.
Okay.
Oh, you're sweet.
I have a question for you.
What's the question?
I want you to like call off guard or anything.
Go ahead.
You talk to other girls when
No.
okay.
Wouldn't it make me a bad guy if I did?
It would make me an upset person if you did.
You'd be upset?
And then it's just like not like in a serious way, it's like, you know, oh.
Am I a bad guy for talking to you? Should I stop talking to you?
No, you should stop talking. Well, I mean, like, you should, but please don't. Just, like, you know, pause. I like your company.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Do you think you can call like this more often?
Maybe. I had fun. You're funny. It's fun to listen to you talk.
What if I'm not high next time? I just make it.
I would also be very interested in interacting with you when you are regular. I want to learn what regular you is like.
Okay.
But high you is very cute and fun.
Great. My hands were fuzzy.
Yeah, you do that a lot when you're high.
I do a lot when I'm sober too.
You're so cute.
I keep saying that.
It's because you keep being cute. If you don't want to be called cute, then stop being so cute. It's simple logic. And I thought it was just normal.
That's not normal size.
Oh,
No, I think average size one of those in the U.S. is like 5.5.
wow. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know how to respond like that. I don't know what to say about it. I don't have one, so I'm not like a penis expert.
There's this one really important thing to remember, and that's that all the money I get is donations from people who want to support me. And if I start working less, then they will think, oh, he's not working, he's lazy, I should not support this guy.
Why can't you start OnlyFans?
Okay, let's just hypothetically imagine I have an OnlyFans. Now, what do I post on the OnlyFans? I mean, like, just naked pictures of me? I don't think I'm good looking enough for anyone to want to subscribe to my OnlyFans.
Like,
When you turn 18, are you going to start an OnlyFans?
God, no.
Well, how can you recommend that someone else do it if you wouldn't even be able to do it yourself?
Like, personally, guys under 5'9" are just like.
So you're basically saying short men are not human and don't deserve humans, and you want them all genocided.
Okay, this is the conversation he had, where he was, essentially in that previous video just said he didn't understand what he was saying, and, he was coerced or coaxed into it because fucking someone coached this girl into trying to lead him on. Okay, listening to it back to back. Oh yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? I can't really say anything about the whole short people genocide. I'm probably in favor of that. If you look at my Twitch chat rules, I legitimately have a height requirement to be part of the stream chat community. Like, you're not allowed in unless you're over the, defined height. Like, if you're like 4'11", you're not going to be allowed into my stream. That's just the rules, okay? So yeah, I'm probably in favor of the short person genocide. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not. You know what? I don't give a shit about his apology at this point. I think, like, even if he took his words at face value and like accepted that he genuinely didn't understand the words he just said,
this guy
were inappropriate to be speaking to someone who he repeatedly acknowledges in the age of the age difference and how much older he is, and he blamed on his mental health for not going out or having friends his own age. I don't think, that's not gonna fly for me. I don't think that counts. That's not a good enough excuse for doing shit like this. Just in the future, if you can help it, don't. And also, if you have talked to a minor, I think you should be part of the short person genocide when that happens. So, if you're gonna be part, you'll be genocided along with them. Yeah, I think we've heard enough from Yandere Dev today. Yeah, you can always find someone your own age to talk to. Like, why the fuck would you decide to exclusively speak to someone who's not even old enough to vote or have a car or pay the mortgage or whatever, right? Or even have just don't